Planning Commission meeting for Armada Township. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and if we could please all rise for the pledge and remain standing for a short invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for our invocation, dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together today to serve our community. We ask for your guidance and wisdom to make decisions that best serve you and the well-being of all our residents. Amen. And let's see, we have a roll call, please, Michelle.
Abercrombie.
Here.
Keurig.
Here.
Patrick.
Here.
Finn.
Here.
Jabara.
Here.
Finley.
Here.
Nickel.
Steve is excused due to the fact of the conflict of interest. And if we had more on the agenda, he would have been here. But since it's the only thing on, it's best that he's not here. Or he could be here, but he would just have to remove himself from up front and then abstain. So basically, he's saving us all taxpayer some money. Okay, and next we have the agenda. If there is no changes to the agenda, a motion would be in order to approve the agenda as presented. Is there such a motion? Excuse me.
No changes. I'll make that motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. And Alex? Okay. And next we have public hearing. And, we're doing, yeah, the minutes this time, sorry. Yeah, okay, next we have the minutes. I got my papers in the wrong order. If there are no changes to the October 1st, 25 meeting, motion would be in order to approve and file the minutes as presented.
So moved. I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay. Now the papers are in the right order. Next, we have the public hearing. I just want to take a moment to explain how the procedure of a public hearing. It's basically a meeting within a meeting. We'll call to order. We'll do the roll call, confirm public notice. The petitioner will present their proposal. Our planner will speak. We'll take citizens' comments, and then the commissioners' comments, and then we'll close the public hearing. No decisions are made at the public hearing. Further on in our agenda, the item is in new business, and then a decision would be made to recommend, deny, or postpone. If you wish to speak at the public hearing, please step up to the podium. Did you put a paper up there? Oh, let's get a piece of paper and put it up there. And if you would just write your name and address so we have the correct information so it's recorded properly in the minutes. Please try and limit your comments to 3 minutes if possible. So on that note, a motion would be in order to open the public hearing. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll do that.
All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The public hearing is now open. So, we have, Steve, if you'd like to approach and.
Sure.
While you're doing that, I do need to verify that we did send out the paperwork, the notification to the neighborhood. God, I jumped around here. I missed the whole part. Would you make note who is present here for the public hearing instead of doing the full roll call again of the board? Okay. So the application, we have the application here. We have, the applicant is the owner of the parcel, and he is here. We have a copy of the publication, and we also have the distribution list of the neighbors notified. And that's all right here.
All set?
Okay, all set.
Okay, my name is Steve Nickel, 22757 Barrows, Armada, Michigan. I'm the owner of the property. It's about 11 acres, 10.966 acres. We've owned it for 35 years, and we have actually farmed it. It's an orchard. It was part of the original wrap orchard, which encompassed from where my property is all the way down to Dayton. So it was Norbert Rapp's orchard originally, and then he lost it at a certain time when things were not too good, and they got split up by the bank, and then they got sold. And I bought it from another fellow who was operating it as a U-pick orchard. We took it over, and we continued to operate it as a U-pick orchard. We planted numerous trees. We've got about 1,200 apple trees. We've got a row of plum trees. We've got grapes. We have vegetables that are on the property, and we plan on continuing to operate it as a U-pick orchard. We'd also like to incorporate what we'd like to call educational farming activities. And with that, what we would like to do is be able to have things that are grown on the property, and then we'd have demonstrations teaching people how to use the products, how to grow with them, how to do certain things in a farming application, trying to extend the farming experience to people that don't have that opportunity. We found out, we had a meeting with Caitlin, and it came up that we were probably not operating correctly because the property was zoned R1. So for us to really actually work it as an agricultural activity, we need to rezone it as ag. I believe the property probably was ag at one time, and the township went through and did a rezoning of everything. So we're putting it back to what it was originally. It is an orchard. It's surrounded by orchards. We've got farmland across the street from us. The area behind us is all the school property, which will never be developed. We have the park to the south end, except for the lot that's next to us. So we've got a nice, unique property that's close to the village, and it has a lot of opportunities for us. I think that's about all that I really need to tell you about it.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Caitlin?
Yes. So as mentioned, the subject property, they're proposing to be rezoned from R1, our residential district, to our AG agricultural district, preservation district. What they've expressed is they would like to do a combination of a variety of different potential uses regarding agricultural business. That's part of it. One thing I could have made more clear in my report, and I apologize for it, is when we talk about standards, which will be talked about later, I mentioned that the R1 does not allow for agricultural businesses, and so it does, it's just you can only allow A, B, E, F, and G, and so A is talking about agricultural products grown on site like a U-pick or the farmer's market. B is cider mills and wineries. E is petting zoos. F is small-scale entertainment, and then G is gift shops. However, uses that the applicant had expressed of interest potentially include children play areas. That would not be permissible. Family-oriented animated barns or hay rides, kitchen facilities potentially on site, and other potential indoor type activities or diversity of potential uses. Yes, sir.
Point of order. Actually, when it says B, it encompasses the entire agribusiness, all the uses.
Give it a section.
No, but I follow. Okay. I see where I'm at. Okay.
There is one, while you're looking at that, I'm gonna
Sure.
go ahead. There is one, they mentioned food trucks, and food trucks are not allowed in residential except for private parties. So that's another reason why they would have to rezone to ag.
That's gonna be an interpretation question for the planning commission. So one of the components of agricultural business is you can interpret in something that is considered accessory to a farm operation. And so the question of food trucks is really unclear. So we have kitchen facilities, so that's a firm portion of, like, it's a physical structure that you can do, but now food trucks are more of a mobile component. It's almost like outdoor sales in a way.
Well, it's a regulatory ordinance. It's listed in the regulatory ordinance that it cannot be in residential unless it is a private party.
Okay.
Okay? That's why I said that. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
Are you referring to him having, he cannot have the food truck, but he can have an external or outside sales, another company coming in for a food truck? He cannot own the food truck, is that what you're referencing?
No, the food trucks are not allowed in residential.
Correct.
If you had a private party at
A
your
private
house,
party could
you
come
could
in,
bring your own
yes,
food truck
okay.
in. But you cannot,
That's
park
fair.
a food truck in your front yard and
Right, right.
residential and open it to
gotcha.
the public.
I'm sorry.
And so, essentially what the property is asking for, and I guess looking at the future land use classification of the proposed property, they are essentially looking at a split classification. So looking at the master plan, the western rear of the property is proposed, or the western front of the property is proposed to be commercial, while the east half is proposed to remain a single-family residential. So that's the future land use classification, which I provided in a map to show what the zoning currently shows and then what the future shows, as well as an area of that proposed property associated with it. And so, before I get into the standards then, that will be during your actual board deliberation. I think that's a general background of the property and what they're proposing to do there.
I'm under, by looking at this application, he's existing R, residential, ag, and he's proposed zoning to ag, and he's got all of his acreage on there. So I don't understand when you mentioned about doing commercial and all of that, he's just asking to be rezoned on his app as all ag.
Correct, he is proposing to be all ag, but the future land use map, what it does is it shows a split zoning classification for it.
We're not asking for split zoning.
I understand. So I'm just describing what our master plan shows as part of that future. So if you go to the maps that I provided,
Let's open it up here then. This map right here?
nope,
but-
that was the part of my analysis.
Yeah.
So it should be page 2 of this.
Okay.
Turn this one around. So this
Okay.
is our future land use map, and so the front
Yeah.
portion and the future shows it as commercial, but the rear portion shows it staying as single family.
Okay.
So that's just the,
Okay, it's just when you said it, it almost sounded like he wanted to split zone. Whoops, sorry.
oh, I
That-
understand the confusion.
Okay.
And so what is being proposed, is that he wants to fully rezone to ag. There is ag across the street, of North Avenue. The property to the north is zone B1, otherwise on the east and south side are R1. And so it's kind of a transitional area, for lack of a better term.
I just misunderstood then.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay. All right. Is that it?
Yep, I think that's a general
You're good?
overview.
All righty, thank you. Did you have something else you wanted to add?
I don't know if you have any questions for me. I was really confused about that.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? You wanted everything zoned ag, correct? That's
Yeah.
it. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Are there any citizens' comments? No one? We have a full crowd and no comments. All right, commissioners, comments, questions?
My question is what you brought up about the food trucks, so it's not in the zoning ordinance, but we do have a regulatory ordinance now, the food trucks must be
Yes.
fairly new.
It is.
Okay.
How much of that flex area can, if he chooses to rezone commercial, would be able to be allotted? Caitlin, do you see on the map what you provided?
Yep.
How much can he, if he chose to rezone it commercial?
But the application's only proposing it as ag, so that's what we have to
That's
deliberate
fair.
on. And
All right, no problem.
and that's one of those things with future land use
I
maps that
know.
are split, it's somewhat,
That's why I'm asking. I didn't know. Which, all right,
I have no problem with, that ag, because it was zoned ag at one time in the past. And I believe they didn't ask you to get it rezoned, they just zoned it.
I'm sorry,
They never asked you to rezone that property, right?
never did.
But when you bought it, it was ag.
Correct. Yes,
So now you just want to put it back the way it was.
correct.
Any other questions, comments, commissioners?
I think zoning this as ag is in the character of the master plan and in the
Bless you.
character of the community.
Exactly.
That's what we're known for, orchards.
Okay.
And just to be clear, we're strictly looking at the rezoning, not the site plan at all or anything.
Correct.
That's what the public hearing's for.
Well, if there's no further comments or questions, the motion would be in order to close the public hearing. Is there such a
So
motion?
moved. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried to close the public hearing. Okay, next on our agenda, we have reports and correspondence. Our project status report for October, Henshaw Phase 2, building at 70710 Powell Road. Application for site plan was submitted on October 27th, along with site plan and building for floor plans, targeting December agenda for site plan review. Miller Farms, located at 71800 Romeo Plank. Letter was sent to the owner from Township Attorney regarding violations. A meeting was planned with the Township Attorney, planner and owner's attorney, planner and the owner's attorney for October 30th. And Caitlin, you were there, so when we're done with this, I'm just gonna ask you to update us on what happened, if there's more to add on this, because you were at that meeting. And then the Frontier Farm Market, located at 69475 Romeo Plank. Pre-planning meeting scheduled with planner for B1 property for October 28th at 2 p.m. And Caitlin, you were there, so if we can just get a quick update on that. Armada Center property, self-storage, located at 21900 Armada Center. Applicant must submit revised plans for third engineering review and add additional engineering escrow deposit. That was October 14th. And then correspondence, we have 2 notices from the following townships for preparation, updating master plans. It was Lenox Township and Washington Township. And then does anyone else have anything else? Any correspondence or letters or anything to add?
No, excited?
No?
Could I ask
Okay.
you to repeat the first status update, the project?
The first one was Henshaw. You want me to read the whole thing again? Okay, perfect. And then, okay, Caitlin, do you just want to touch base on those two, on, let's see, because you met with Miller and Frontier?
yep, and I guess I don't know how much you customarily are involved in enforcement activities, but the planning commission is not an enforcement board. So we did have a meeting of the minds over moving forward with the project. I believe it was a productive meeting,
Okay.
where we were able to provide some insight and provided some clarification. We're expecting a revised site plan, that clarifies where they were confused. And so we're hoping that we'll be able to move forward, and have an approved site plan.
Okay, perfect. And then with Frontier.
So they had some different questions associated with their use classification. They have a proposed tenant, that is, gonna be kind of classified as some type of private club or school. They did not provide a ton of information, so, I provided some additional information I would need to better classify that, associated with a LARA license. So LARA is the licensing bureau at the state of Michigan. And so to be a school or whatever entity they want to talk about, I need to know what license they're talking about to properly classify them. And so we provided clarification on if they were that private club, that threshold, versus what would be considered that church-related school, and what those requirements were. Due to the property and what it's zoned, I don't anticipate there being a major issue there, as far as compliance to those standards, but provide them that direction. They're going to look at that and then come back to the township.
Okay, thank you. So if there's no other correspondence to add,
I'll make a motion to receive and file the reports and correspondence.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Goodness, got lots of papers today. Next on the agenda, we have the rezoning for Nickel Orchard.
I got a question on, when you gotta notify all the neighbors. I noticed that Ackett's on there. Is it under a different name?
It is, it's, their
just-
address I think is 75700.
All right, I just was wanting to make sure that everyone was
It's
notified.
under a different name.
Okay.
It's from up, from Above Holdings,
Okay.
LLC is what theirs is.
So, Steve, do you have anything that you want to add at this point? Or are you good?
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. Caitlin?
All right. And so in review of our our rezoning standards, which is section 19065, standard A talks about it being consistent with the goals, policies, and the future land use map. And so looking at this transitional area, there is existing agricultural in this general area. However, there are some more developed components regarding commercial, as well as single family located in the nearby area. However, one of our different goals associated with agriculture activities is to encourage farming operations and sustainable agricultural environments. Standard B talks about there's compatibility of the site's physical and other environmental features. So the subject property does appear to be located within different eagle protected wetlands. So as one of the maps that we provided, it shows that there's the orange, which is just wetland soils, versus green, which is the actual wetland area itself. And so it's not conducive necessarily to build large buildings there without having some type of infill. This soil is considered prime farmland, which is one of the indicators for what is appropriate. The property is otherwise largely flat, with a pond and things of that nature. Standard C is that there's evidence that the applicant cannot reasonably return on investment for the property under that current zoning. And so this is where I appreciate DJ pointing that correction out as far as the agricultural business. So it does allow that to take place under the R1 classifications, which would mean that they wouldn't have to necessarily meet other design requirements. So commercial is where we really have a different threshold as far as paved or unpaved surface material. And so that is something that they could potentially maintain. However, there are other potential agricultural uses where it is considered conducive to have it as ag, potentially. Split zone districts are difficult in the long run to manage, and so typically you pick one box or the other. Standard D is that the compatibility of all the potential uses within that proposed zoning district are consistent with the surrounding area as far as impact on the environment, density, traffic, aesthetics, infrastructure. And so the surrounding land uses are a mixture of commercial, public, which is the park and the Armada High School, single-family residential, and agricultural. So we have all those different uses in that general vicinity, and they're abutting that single-family residence. This use allows for the ag district. It essentially would allow for similar uses as it currently is in R1, just not the same level of density. So that's the biggest difference between those districts. Then you have Standard E, which is the capacity of utilities and services. That by doing this rezoning, it would not compromise the health, safety, and welfare within the township. This subject property is located on a paved major thoroughfare, and they would go through the appropriate process for their own on-site water and sewer if that was necessary for their operation. Standard F is talking about the compatibility of the street system. They are on a major thoroughfare as classified in the master plan. It is a 2-lane paved road. G is that there is the appropriate demand for this proposed use. And so that's a correction on my end that R1 does allow for agricultural tourism within that classification. There is nearby agricultural land in that general area. Standard H is talking about the boundaries of that requested rezoning is reasonable in relationship to the surrounding area. And so looking at the ag zoning district requirements, it would meet those requirements. So we're not creating a non-conforming lot by rezoning it. Standard I is the requested rezoning is the most appropriate district. So this is a correction for my analysis that R1 does allow for agricultural tourism as well as the ag zoning district. In the future land use plan, we see it being upzoned. So this would be where we would see it go into a commercial type atmosphere or residential. J is that the requested specific uses in the rezoning and land are more appropriate than what is otherwise listed or special land use in that district. So as I already previously repeated, associated with agritourism is allowed in R1 as part of that. K is that the request is not created an isolated or unplanned spot zone, so there is nearby agricultural to the west as part of this use and the master plan designations. Standard L is the request is not been previously submitted in the last year. M is that this is related to conditional zoning. This is not a conditional rezoning, so that's not directly relevant. And then if there's any other factors that we deem necessary.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions, comments?
For clarification, with the rezoning, is the action recommendation to the township board?
Correct.
Well, if there's no other comments or questions, would anybody care to entertain a motion to recommend to the township board the rezoning of parcel 130213300019 located at 75600 North Avenue from R1 to agricultural as it goes along with the future goals to preserve agricultural heritage and economic sector?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Well,
Whoop.
in discussion, we don't have to mention that it meets the requirements of section 1906.
Oh.
Yep, if we could mention all of them. Yep.
You want to add that in?
Yeah,
What's your,
So just give me the section.
section 19.06 of the,
5.
is that point?
what is it,
05?
1906?
19065.
19.06.5.
Yeah.
That's the only other thing that I missed on there.
That was it.
I had it all. Are you good with that?
Yeah,
Added
I'm
to
fine
the
with that.
motion?
That's the right section, yeah.
And who was the one that seconded it? I missed it.
Maureen.
Maureen, are you good with that added?
Yes, please.
Is
Okay.
Randy?
Yep.
Randy Maureen?
Yep,
Compliance
Randy
to the,
Maureen.
Requirements is very important.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion is carried.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. So it will go to the township board next week, okay?
Steve will sit that one out too.
Yeah, well, he'll be here probably for that meeting, but, okay. And next, we have any PC projects?
So I think there's two on our potential horizon. So one of them is, months ago, what was mentioned, was the potential changing of our meeting date. So currently we meet the first Wednesday of the month. So this, causes a, rush, I guess, in processing of applications. So in our special land use where we're recommending action to the township board or rezonings, their agendas, for the second Tuesday, so November 11th, their agenda's actually already set for November 4th. And so it causes an issue because we have to still have the minutes that should go in the township board packet, and that means that somebody has to type them up extremely quickly, and you don't even then get a week for the township board then to review that material. And so, that was one of the suggestions by the administration of the township to change that, so there was at least a little bit more breathing room, to potentially have that meeting date. And so, we are proposing then in the December meeting, planning commission meeting, we do anticipate there being business, but that's usually when we approve the 2026 meeting schedule. And so I just wanted to, I guess, have another brief conversation about our feelings on that, if we're thinking that Wednesdays work, or we would be up for changing to Monday or Tuesday or Thursdays to help with the sequencing of events, because right now, otherwise, items are likely to actually be pushed. So they would not be processed until December 9th. And so they would have to wait a little over a month to have a decision on the special land use, or to have a decision on a rezoning.
Can we wait on this until our designated meeting dates are done and we just make the year new for the meeting dates?
So it makes sense to set a change now, so that way when we go to upload and do publications through the clerk office, we know, are we setting it for the first Wednesday, or are we setting it for like the third Wednesday?
Why would you delay it? To push it back a month and a,
So if you change the sequencing of it, so then,
I understand that, but
so if we were to hypothetically change it to the third Wednesday, that would then allow for, 2 weeks, for that turnaround, and then it still makes it in, 2 to 3 weeks in that packet. So the other thing you can do, instead of it being the third week, you can change it to the fourth week of the month. And then you have even faster turnaround, but still enough time for it to make that packet, so they would have at least a week, essentially, or about a week, to process it, so it could be in the packet that next following, Wednesday, cause
But
not everyone has a fifth
Wouldn't you have to,
week.
put that in the paper? Because we did that already.
Yeah.
When we did all the dates for the year.
For 2025,
We're talking 2026.
I thought it was in March that we did that. No?
we usually do it on the calendar year.
Okay. If it's a calendar year, that's time to do it.
Sure, and so that's something we're proposing to present, and then just trying to avoid holidays. So a lot of my clients that meet the fourth week of the month, they all move it to the third week in November because of Thanksgiving. And so, I guess, are we up to moving it, and if there's a specific week that we'd have in mind, just so then we can be prepared for the next meeting in that schedule.
I have no problem in moving it. It's just, I thought it was March, that's all.
Okay.
I was just trying to go to the end of our,
I think that it was previously, because I think the fiscal year maybe.
Well, this year's in July.
July.
Well, okay.
I think it was because we didn't have meetings, maybe January, February, and end
I
up
think
being
you're right.
in March, that's why. It's supposed to be
Maybe
done,
that's more
supposed to be
of
done
the-
ahead of time.
Yeah.
So you're looking for direction, what the planning commission would like to see for 26?
Correct.
days, okay.
What
So-
would be the best day for you and for them to get the meeting ready?
So I would say, generally speaking, so they meet the second Tuesday. The packets are set on the 6th. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the calendar saying the right thing and not saying the right thing. I apologize. So the closest to the township board meeting would be then the 4th week of the month you would meet. And so if you did that, that would provide at least 1 week for them to provide those minutes, any revisions between that, and still make it into the packet.
Is the recording secretary okay with that?
I usually get it done quick, but it's just more, they want more time to review everything.
Yeah,
And
I
the agenda's
understand
already
that.
made usually, so that's the issue.
Looking at a calendar though, with holidays and
Yeah.
stuff, 4th of July, sometimes
That's what I'm doing.
that might run into it. Memorial Day, if you do the 4th week, Christmas, so maybe the 3rd week might work.
Thanksgiving.
And why would we be opposed? I guess I still don't have to keeping it the same.
There's no time to get the
They
paperwork
want
done.
more time to do the packets.
They're having a week now?
Well, they have less than a week, so the
Their
agenda's
packet's
already
already
set yesterday.
So they have to amend
And
the
so-
agenda.
And
Oh,
then-
on the board, yeah. All right.
So they have a month.
So they have a month and a week.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
That is gonna be their new policy
would be-
because it's too difficult and it doesn't give them adequate time to review a packet, cause they get less than a week.
And they have to amend the agenda all the time to do it.
Correct. Cause the agenda's already set before we know the verdict of our decision. Cause we might say, we're not going to recommend it, we want more information on rezoning. So it doesn't make sense even to preload it at the township board and have that on their agenda and then I guess always remove it or things of that nature. They wanna wait till we make our decision.
Then that way they can put it in the paper and all that too. For their agenda.
Township board, I don't think
They
does,
don't put it,
They don't.
they don't do notices for their action, just us. So we can do the 3rd or 4th week.
So, 2, 3, 5. So how are we gonna do like off months? Like for instance, December, 5 weeks? How are you gonna just do it on the 3rd week?
Yep.
Either way?
Yep.
Alright,
So if we're looking at the 3rd week of the month,
same with March.
On Wednesday still, or you mentioned 2 other days, Tuesdays.
so Wednesdays and Thursdays, I do not have another client obligation. Tuesday, I have a infrequent, client obligation.
I'm good with Wednesday.
The third Wednesday of the
I gotta
month.
stay with Wednesdays.
Yeah,
The
I
3rd
kinda
Wednesday of the month?
biased
Yeah,
toward-
this seems simple.
Yes.
So we can
I'm
add
sorry
that
for
to our
pushing back
agenda.
there.
No, no,
I didn't mean it, but I was,
I'm good with it.
yes, I am too.
For people been on there a long time.
Yeah,
I'll just forget, that's.
And so what we'll do then in December is we'll provide that schedule, looking at that December, December 3rd. Looking at the 3rd Wednesday of the month.
Yeah.
And then provide all those dates, so you could literally sit down and put those all in your calendar. We'll look out for holidays, just to check if there's not some inconvenience there.
Well, all right.
But
Yeah, we'll do
pro-
it next week.
Yeah,
Yep,
next
but
month.
we'll
Next
provide
month.
that in December.
It's like I
We'll
just
look
saw
at
that.
Yep.
We'll consider that.
All right. Sorry, Kate.
Nope, you're fine. And then the only other pending project as a friendly reminder is that we're going to, in January, kick off doing our zoning ordinance update again. So we're gonna be starting to review different drafts. We're not sure if we're getting an application in January. If so, we might just review one of those articles, but otherwise, the intention of the first part of the year is really to go through a lot of those different drafts, together and, kind of work on finishing that project.
And then in December, we will be discussing the Parks and Rec.
Correct, that is our
Plan.
public hearing for our Parks and Rec plan. The clerk, reviewed the plan and had some different modifications she would like to see. And so I'm gonna have some, revisions up for your discretion at that
And I hope
meeting.
to have a picture once that memorial, the new memorial at the skate park.
Yep, I think I added that to the cover, actually.
I don't think, I haven't gotten a picture yet because I don't think it's been placed there yet.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
verify it, but
Yeah.
yes, I'm aware of the
Okay,
picture.
unless somebody has.
Yep,
okay.
and, I might be thinking of the revision one that I maybe put it
There,
in.
yeah, there were two memorial at the park itself for the veterans.
Mhm.
And then that one would be the third. I'd like to see that in there.
And so, that would be something that we would look at that then December meeting.
Okay.
Do we need a motion for that dates?
And
No.
next, we have public comments. No public comments? Commissioners, any comments? I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And so they say winter is on its way, right? So, if there's no other comments, then a motion would be in order to adjourn.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you all for coming tonight.